nice and clean.
The next few minutes, up to about 7 minutes and 30 seconds on this video, CapCut was auto-zooming. It had a glitch in its programming or something. But bear with me, it will be about another 5.5, 6 minutes, and you'll be able to see all of the tile installation processing that I'm doing despite the video audio zooming. Thanks. Hang on, like, subscribe, share, and learn a few things with me.
Get all that out?
Yeah.
You got to do all of them over here too?
Just the damage.
Why you
The last one.
Why you take these off?
Because they were loose.
Oh. You gonna tell her? Oh,
No, she already knew.
She was doing your big boy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If all this could get set up in 5 minutes when you get to a house, it would be easy. It would be.
That ain't happening. Not with me.
That's the problem. It could happen with you.
Yeah, but I'd have to be a tile all day long type of dude.
No, we don't want you to do that. You take too long to go.
My point. No broom at all? Not even a baby hand broom?
Say what?
Not even a hand broom?
Where would it be in the trunk?
Yeah. It should be somewhere where you can see it. I think. At least I saw it in there the last time I saw it. Look on the side where the long stuff is. Oh, you know what?
Hold on. It's been following. It's been following me.
Maybe like the way you smell. Alright, break for the broom. I thought I brought mine, but obviously I didn't. Yeah, so I'm going to do a little cleanup so I can start prepping this mortar mix. And I made pretty easy of that. Alrighty, let's get started. These are the tile that she left me. I don't know their measurements. Alright. But I do have I had my blade. Anyways, be delicate with your tile because it will crack on you. And even in shipping, they'll rub against each other, and if they're really uneven like these, they'll chip layers off and make your work look a little funky if you don't have enough and you have to keep going. I had my blade a second ago. I don't know where it's at. Another use for grout cleaning.
I was having issues with CapCut because it kept auto zooming on this video. So I had to cut out that last section or segment of the video and just paste in a new one. But from here on out, it'll look a little bit better.
Alrighty, let's get started. Alright, these are the tile that she left me. I don't know their measurements. Alright, but I do have I had my blade. Anyways, be delicate with your tile because it will crack on you. And even in shipping, they'll rub against each other, and if they're really uneven like these, they'll chip layers off and make your work look a little funky if you don't have enough and you have to keep going. I had my blade a second ago. I don't know where it's at. This will work. Use for grout cleaning. I don't want to leave that together. See that? That's another reason why you need a lot of coverage on your tile, because if you got little air spaces in there like what we saw earlier, that can be an issue because it'll be uneven displacement of weight, especially at the striking edge, and it will cause your tile to chip. So they got a pattern. Of course, it's variegated. You got like a bronzish brown, gray, like a, I don't know what that is. It's like a maroon gray. I don't know what that is. Then there's another redder piece in there, and it's just variegated stone. So I'm going to try to keep that pattern going, like with guys like this. Even though he looks chipped, and it looks like he might be, yeah, he's chipped. So we're not going to use that guy. We can definitely use this one. He does have little chips. This is pretty brittle stone, and it's uneven on both surfaces, as you can see. So I don't know if this was handcrafted tile, but look at that. And even the thicknesses of them seem to be different. That top one seems to be a little thicker than the bottom one. And then look at this guy, even thinner. So be sure to know what kind of tile you're working with. I don't have a major selection here because looks like this stuff was reused, honestly. I don't have a wide color pattern to play with. This one looks better than that. So I'm gonna bring him back in, which will bring some color into the front layout. And then I'll go with him, actually like that. Bam. And then we'll bring this guy in. We will bring him in. And then we need a few more pieces. We can keep it there, but I'm not sure if I really want to do that because it's all the same. So I'll bring him over and I'll chop up because all three of those connecting look like this one, roughly. That'll kind of throw it off a little bit. And then you can drop your towel like that. So we'll do the cuts, get them correct. We don't have a lot of material, so we don't have a lot to work with on the overages. So we'll keep these handy just in case, all right? Because we are humans. So that's that. I'm gonna start from this side and work my way towards the camera. Actually, if I can face the camera somewhat, I can start from there and work my way back, which would be much more suitable for anyone trying to learn how to do towel repair or whatnot. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces at 8 inches by 1 foot exactly. So these are exactly 1 foot, and these are exactly 8 inches. So I'm going to assume that these are more than likely going to be American, produced somewhere in the Western Hemisphere because of the measurements. The other towel that I'm used to working with, like from Italy and Europe and things like that, they come with a metric measurement, and they never match my standard system. So, all right, now we are going to be working with Mapei's Gray Ultraflex LHT-SG. This is standard, and I really trust Mapei. They go good. They have a nice, smooth, buttery glaze that you can spread with. And these are for large and heavy tile mortar, and it's got its polymers in it, which is good. So it's outside ready for mixing, and that's what I need. So I'm gonna pour the majority of my water in this bucket. That little bit should be enough to get me started. I'm gonna hook up my egg batter. All right. And we're gonna start by getting our mortar in there. They use white mortar, but I went with the gray because of the stone color, the outside, and the grout color. So any protrusion, I think this might be gray, but it's very dusty, so I can't really tell that much. But to me, it doesn't matter what color your mortar is, unless you're gonna have it exposed. You really don't want to braid this stuff in. I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible. But if you know me, I don't keep things too clean too often. And we're going to start it off by getting it on that substrate. And then from there, we'll back butter each piece of tile into our application. First, we're going to mix it, let it set up, activate the polymers, get this stuff right. Got a technical term for it, but it has to sit for about 10 minutes. I'll have enough time to do that by cutting my pieces. Clean your way around the bucket when you're doing your mixes. I like to use the flat bottom ones so that it kind of chunks it back up, and then it's got the batter rim right here so it can do what it does after it gets off of the bottom of that surface. Now when this stuff is wet, it's always usually darker than it is when it's cooled down, or dried or set. But this is a little wetter than I want it to be. So I'm going to grab it by hand and do it. I don't have time for anything else. Still a little thin. And I got a scooper somewhere, but don't judge me. I ain't got time. It took me like 45 minutes to just set up because I was looking for so many tools. I have all of my tools for all of my projects in the truck. And the last guy I had, he's the one that packed them in there from our last remodel job. It's peanut buttery. This is non-sanding. What I do know about using non-sanded products is that they don't really have those additives to help it bulk up and stand up under a lot of pressure. And that's why you see concrete and things that are laid for heavy duty applications. They'll have rocks, pebbles, and chunks of large sediment pieces in there so that they can hold up even if there are fissures or pockets or whatnot inside of the mix. So we got to make sure we get a really good spread, really good coverage, and we don't want much air in here. Trying to get this out because I ruined the last two. You guys know what I'm talking about. They clogged up and my helper didn't help me with that, whoever he was. And so I had to focus on the job. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look at my terrific Tile Terror series. I also have Pearl Gray by Mappe. It's a Terracolor. The last time I used Versacolor, which is one of their same line of products. It's just a different set. But this is Terracolor U, and it's unsanded grout. I got the smaller bag because, of course, you see I don't have a lot, and no use in overspending on such a smaller application. But this has multiple uses for porcelain, ceramic, glass, and mosaic, marble, granite, travertine, natural stone, and saltillo. So this is closer to like the saltillo right here. It's brittle. It's not as thick, but essentially it's kind of the basic same format in its composition. So I'm going to work that off. We'll get these pieces marked. One mistake I made is I did not make sure I had all the pieces for my tile saw. So we were going to wet saw today, but I have to do it by hand. So today is a test of wit and skill. I'm very good with my grinder and my stone and ceramic and tile saw blade. As you can see, I got it flush, clean. I got all of the things set up. If It didn't take a lot of time. Now, if I was doing a whole house, I wouldn't have taken that method. We would have probably rented a machine or something and did it that way. But you still got to go back and buff it out and get all that dust and everything out and up and away from the scenario. Then you got to back door and clean it. Get that real good flush so that when you lay your tile down, it'll have a very good adhesion. So, and before I lay these down, I'm going to pour a little bit of water down just to move out some of that excess dust, and it will catch better that way. The older tile mortars, in general, you have to wet and before you lay your spread. With Mapei products, they're technologically advanced to the point where you don't have to pre-wet and things like that. So you don't have to come back and wet your tile. And actually for rigor, we can do that in this application. So I can show you guys what goes on there. And you can dip them. And it doesn't matter at this point because it just doesn't matter. We're using a higher end product, and that makes all of this much more seamless. So that being said, I am going to dip these just to show you what it looks like when guys dip your tile. And essentially sometimes back in the day, they had to be dipped for up to 24 hours so that water can soak in to that material and draw up that adhesive water on the day of the application. So, but we don't have to do that today, and we're not going to, all right? But for demonstration purposes, that's essentially what you're going to be doing, just like that. Letting it set up for a little bit, and then letting it run its course. This guy here, it's a peanut butter mix that we have. It's still easy to spread, as you can see. It's light, but it's very thick and peanut buttery. So that's going to serve for a very good application. I do have my trowel, and I'm using 1/4. Don't judge me. This guy has been through World War III. And again, a lot of my projects, I run into so much chaos. And I just can't get the time and the help that I need to help me get this operation going. I'm going to start my truck because I know it's warming up out here. Got baby in the truck, so I'm going to make sure she's getting it over here. I'm going to use this guy here. No thank you, Coca-Cola. I wasn't trying to advertise. I'm going to use him to kind of do a little flush out. Just make sure all this extra dust can go. I won't have a top coat or a layer of dust I have to deal with. Just like on a regular rainy day. Alright? Really, I just want it out the corner. That'll give it some osmotic pressure, flotation. Get these guys up out of there. So imagine you're poor like me and you don't have a whole bunch of resources, a whole bunch of time to plan, because you got to work till nightfall and then deal with the kids on your way home, and then you got all this other stuff you got to deal with on top of needing to have a system. So you don't have your wet bath, you don't have your broom, you don't have your tile cutting table to go with your tile saw set. I mean, I got a complete wet tile by Cobalt, and I think it's a 7.5 inch blade. Does wonders, cuts practically anything, and associated with, you know, masonry. And you don't have a lot of resources to pull from. Out in the country, you can't do a whole bunch. You can't go back and make multiple trips because you're losing money, especially on a small job like this. You don't have a helper that can take this vehicle and go and get what you need or whatnot, so you just just gotta work with what you got. And that's really the purpose of today's mission, is our crash course, getting this tile in right and not having to deal with a whole lot of the issues that come with it. So today I'm also going to be using my 2-foot level by Craftsman, which has done me wonders. And I'm just gonna keep it flush by using my level, all right? So when I get these in here, I don't have my leveling clips and all that other stuff. I don't need them. For one, this is floor tile, so I don't have to worry about it drooping, sloping, or anything like that. As long as I have my mix thick enough and applied heavily enough, I can squeeze out the rest, and I can clean out my corners. And I'll show you a method that I use, how I clean out my grout lines, and we'll compress that in and get those first ones going. After that, we'll come back and drop this grout and be good to go. So I got all the dust and extra sediment out of there. We're ready to start laying out our cuts. And once we get these cuts figured out, I can make that application and we can run. Question about the grout line. I did buy the 3/16-inch spaces. But after measuring the grout lines on all the tile, I can tell that this was hand-laid without spaces. Because every single grout line is different. And even though I did bring it for precautionary purposes, I'll probably only just do it by hand. Because once I have them set, I can balance them, I can adjust them, I can do what I need to do. I do have a set of tile clips with the wedges that allow me to increase or decrease tension on a side of the tile, which actuates leveling and the substrate, causing the substrate to be contiguous or flush as you go along it. But again, these are uneven tile. Each particular piece has its own variation of the levelness, as you can see, and these indentions are up to even 1/4 inch from the highest portion. So from this portion here to that one there in that valley, or this valley here, can be a whole 1/8 of an inch. And maybe the camera can catch it. Let me see. I don't know if the camera can catch it or not, but it's pretty dramatic. And some of them are even deeper than that one, like this bronze green one next to that darker one, right there in the center of that bronze green one right there. He's pretty deep. And that's part of the design and the texture of the tile. Look at this guy. There's a whole shadow right here. That's at least, from that lowest point here to this highest point, you're looking at least 1/8 of an inch. So you're not going to be really concerned with how that goes. We're just going to do what we do and ride it out, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark off where I want my tile to set and lay. This one here essentially stops where it is, and I'm not going to use my marker because these are wet. So I'm going to get my pencil. As long as I'm square on my grout line, I'm not concerned about being square at the base of the wall because it's overlapped by the masonry here. And we're going to feed some playroom anyway. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up. I want it to look, all right? Now this grout line was a little thicker, and there's a little piece that needs to go. my mortar mix is ready for application. All I have to do is start my cutting and get things going accordingly. I don't want to make a mess, but I do want to cut a piece for demonstration and review of the camera. So I'll do it over here, and I'll just clean up. I'll get some water and flush it out. I don't have my broom, and I don't want to hassle the neighbors anymore than I have to. They were graceful enough to allow me to use their broom, but they just moved in and they didn't know me, and the wife was like, what do you need? And I'm like, well, right? Speak with your husband. She's like, what for? I'm like, I was going to ask if I could use this broom because I'm doing a tile job and I left mine at the house. But either way, I got it cut. As you can see, it's not square with itself, but it is square with the section that it will be seated in. So I have it marked out. This is my measure line. And once we have that cut, I can slide it in and do a better line here. And I can see where my intersecting edge is on this outside corner so that I can do a better scale of very flaky. I don't know what kind of tile this is particularly, but it flakes away with the tile pattern that it has initially. So it doesn't damage the feature of it per se, but it does take out some of those high and low points and kind of balances it out when they start to chip. So we're going to slide it in and see how it fits. Look at that. Okay, so we're good there. All right. That's why I love that particular blade, because you can take it and kind of do what you want with it. You can shave and you can cut. And you notice when I was getting that thin setup, I was actually shaving and leveling at the same time. Those things are really good. They save you a lot of time and a lot of headache on the job. I was just trying it out backwards because this part did start to flake when I cut it, and I really didn't want it to be a part of the visual perception, but it is what it is. All right, so that one's C12. We'll go to this next one. We'll get them all cut, and then we'll start our application of the mortar. All right. So why? This line is flush with this one as they meet. We have our contiguous line with these two being flush. Same there, same here. These two are flush in line. And this route line, these two are flush at the intersection. These two are flush at the intersection. And these two are flush going across this tile here. So I'm and I got a scribe all the way across. And those are all my cuts at once. Like a soldier. You notice when I'm cutting, I use my back two fingers for stabilization. technically, I like to use the edge because the edge helps me to co-locate. But because I know that if I'm on the inside edge of my sacrificial piece, then, or the outside edge of my sacrificial piece, I can cut away towards the sacrificial piece and shave down what's uneven on my preserved piece, right? And so that's important when you're making your cuts. Sacrificial piece. Bam, just like that, okay? Go on to the next one. I'm always losing the same stuff that I put in my pocket or freaking just had like 5 minutes before. Right? When you're cutting, keep that blade level when you're doing your score. All right? That way you're not gouging out portions of the surface area that you need to keep your line contiguous without sacrificing your grout line spacing if you had a controlled grout line. These are uncontrolled grout lines, so you don't necessarily have to worry about it. But if you go more than 1/8 of an inch, really more than 1/16 of an inch off, it's going to start looking a little curious, right? Now, the best way to do it without getting a whole bunch of dust on your cut line is go ahead and do a light score before you start gouging in there. Because the more deeper you go, the more dust is going to fly out and pepper that line to where it's going to obscure it and you're not going to be able to know what you're seeing and looking for. So I technically got everything right, except that I got dust over practically everything that I'm going to be working with, right? Which kind of defeats the purpose, but I wanted to demonstrate on camera, so I did sacrifice that. That diamond tip blade, as you can see, does not necessitate water. You don't have to have it. With certain tile pieces, you do. Because like ceramics, they heat up so much, and that heat causes them to chip under the vibration or burn, which will affect the final cut. And for this very rough tile system, you don't have to worry about that. As you can see, they break off in layers from top down. And it doesn't have to be that clean. The actual surface is unlevel, so that is the nature of this system. And it's a really good system. But you're going to find tile where you're inside of a very elegant bathroom or lobby, and everything has to be exactly the way that it needs to look. Like each piece has to look like a computer cutting. And that's when you're going to want to do your wet tile. You're going to want to measure 3 or 4 times, cut that once, and that's it. Okay, we can move on to the next one. Fit them first, like we did here, Make sure your system is golden. It's a smaller system, so I was able to fit them all at once as a full scope of the job. That way I don't have to worry about doing any more cutting. All I got to do is stab them in, so we can push on to the next one. Clean up and go. From there,
Make sure everything's roughly level. Let me go get my
paper. Alright, so this is drywall sponge, but it's going to serve the same purpose as a paintbrush. Because it simply has bristles and has the same pliability. So we're just going to get this extra mortar off. Again, we don't want to fill our grout lines with any kind of mortar, because it's going to affect what our grout is going to turn out to be tomorrow. So, all right. Now that I got it off the surface, I don't have to worry about chipping it off tomorrow or when this project is entirely done. Then we'll get our trowel and clean up. Round it out. And again, the reason why this looks more complicated than how it should is because I don't have spacer clips and I don't have leveling clips. So the tiles are just floating freely on top of the mortar base, which is okay, as long as we're doing this on a ground level or flat horizontal level. And what that means is it can't slide down. It's not overhead tile, which is something I've never done. would be fun. That would be a fun project. To do some overhead tile. We'd have to screw them in and get a whole bunch of mortar in our nose and in our eyes and everything. But hey, it would be a very cool project to see a 360 format of tile going up, over, and all the way around and right back down. The most important thing that we need to look out for right now is making sure these grout lines are the way we want them to be when we're ready to throw this grout in. But it's okay. So we're 2 hours and 36 minutes. And here's what we have. This one here, where the sponge overlaps. That one, this one, the red one, this thin one, that one, and this guy in the corner. All right? So, we're nice and golden. I got my barrier to keep it from sliding and slipping. And we'll come back tomorrow and put that grout in. Clean up and have a good one. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe if you want to see me fumble around on more of my projects. And if you want to be engaged with Skorpius. Uh-oh. Somebody's jacking with the lens. And then you want to see the final results, we'll do that. I'll probably throw a short out so that we can get content on this. I'm going to clean up, get this mortar diluted, pour it out, and then we'll set up a little barrier for this so that the Amazon and FedEx people don't destroy it coming into the porch. So hopefully that's respected. The client is out of town, so they won't have to worry about messing this project up. But outside of that, we just called it a day. So essentially this was, we could have done it a lot faster. Camera's been running for about 2.5 hours. So if I'd have drove up and been key start ready, I would say this is a 2-hour job. Get in there, not talking, having all my tools available, not looking for things, having maybe a helper or whatnot. It would have been faster with a helper, but by yourself, I would say about 1 hour and 45 minutes. Just jumping in, getting it all in, cutting it, having my wet saw ready. I could have ran those cuts super fast, dropped them in, and kept pushing. So, all right, that's Skorpius checking out. Like, share, subscribe, and hang on for the next one. Thanks, guys.